Hello, here's another video to do with science and nature. Now, my wife is often trying to get me to clean these paths to get all this horrible lichen off it, but I say no, no Mrs. Gibbons, because here is a great example of science in action. These little things are called lichens, and they're tiny little colonies of living things. Tiny little plants, really, and what's really cool about them is they grow at a fairly constant rate. Now, if you measure the distance, the diameter of one of these lichen patches, so the radius, beg your pardon, so that's from the centre to the outside, you can see that one's almost exactly 10 millimetres in radius. So the interesting thing is that these types of lichen, these white lichens that you see on stones, grow at between 0.5 millimetre and 1 millimetre per year. So we can confidently say that this lichen is between 5 and 10 years old. So what, I hear you say? Well, the other thing that tells us is that this paving slab couldn't have been here more than 10 years ago. This paving slab was laid between 5 and 10 years ago. Again, that's not very interesting, it's just a paving slab, I hear you say. But what if it was a gravestone or a standing stone? Something kind of more historical and interesting. People do this, they go around graveyards and they measure the lichen on gravestones and they get an idea of how old the gravestones are. Yes, of course, you could read the date on them, but sometimes the gravestones are so old that the names and the numbers have worn off. So there you go. Measure the size of these white lichen patches. They grow about 0.5 to 1 millimetre a year. This one is 5 to 10 years old.